It's time to check in with our media partners from thevoiceofoc.org for an update on what's happening this week in Orange County government and politics.
Here to talk about issues in the news right now, we welcome the editor-in-chief for Voice of OC, Norberto Santana.
Norberto, a majority of Orange County supervisors and the Cal Optima board are under investigation by the State Fair Political Practices Commission for potential violations of the state's Political Reform Act, following a series of scathing reports from Orange County's grand jury. Now, Norberto, what's the latest on this?
That bombshell landed this week during a heated public hearing that turned into a rarely seen slugfest between local politicians and grand jury volunteers who have called them out for mismanagement. The Fppc investigation centers around how supervisors have handled Cal Optima, the county's health insurance program for nearly 500,000 of the county's most vulnerable elderly and poor residents, since they put their colleague, Supervisor Janet Wynn, in charge of the agency a few years ago. The state investigation has deeply angered supervisors who lashed out emotionally this week at the local grand jury, criticizing the accuracy of the reports, as well as protesting racy headlines like Cal Optima burns while supervisors fiddle, and another that read, "A call for ethical government, corruption in Orange County." Supervisors scolded grand jury members at the meeting.
Then I get a letter from the Fair Political Practices Commission because our grand jury issued a report. Therefore, I must be doing something wrong and I'm under investigation. You're here to help us, not to embarrass us nationally.
Does this affect the stability of the agency, and does it affect the mission and what they produce? That's what's helpful to people in our position. Not sensational headlines that just shock the heck out of everybody. It's a complete disservice to me, to the public, to people that rely on this. And it was just a chasing ghosts. I mean, it's very frustrating. And really, it's shameful.
I just feel that more training is necessary to ensure objectivity. The conclusions need to be based on a broader number of witnesses, a broader number of what I call academic resources before one comes to a conclusion.
I think there should be a probable cause determination on an issuing of a grand jury report for civil side. To issue a report when you have the stature of the grand jury, to say the words that Orange County is corrupt.
I beg and plead for you to interview me. You completely ignored that one report, demoralized not only myself, my family, people around me, my staff, but the 500 employees that work at Cal Optima, the 520,000 patients that we serve.
Grand jurors came out in force to respond, especially after supervisors tried to cut their stipends from $50 a day to $15. We asked grand jury foreman Ray Garcia if the grand jury stands by their reports.
Did you stand by those reports? Yes, we stand by those reports. I mean, they're documented. You know, and the only thing I will say, the corruption thing, you ought to read the corruption thing. It's a chronology of 4 decades of malfeasance, misfeasance, and downright crime. We're just saying perhaps you should look at an ethics commission. And quite frankly, we didn't expect that backlash on that one. We really didn't.
Did you feel it was payback for the reports that you filed?
They've been pretty direct.
To those cases where the personal ire of public officials reaches its greatest crescendo, the matters are probably of the greatest importance.
What kind of a signal is the Board of Supervisors trying to send to the grand jury? How many of you, in a need to protect your own family, would choose a watchdog with no voice?
It was a slap in the face, and that's why I was dismayed. An insult that the grand jury would be disrespected in this way. It does appear to me as a retribution. And following immediately on the heels of some controversial reports, one could take this interpretation.
District Attorney Tony Brokakis didn't sit this one out. He sent Assistant District Attorney Jamie Coulter, who works with the grand jurors, to warn the supervisors against slashing the grand jury's budget.
When the amount of their compensation is lowered from $50 to $15 per day, that sends the wrong message about the county's regard for this important work that the grand jury does.
Okay, Noberto, so what happens next? I mean, how long does an Fppc probe take, and how does it work?
This is no regular audit of campaign accounts. It's a full-blown investigation with subpoena powers, looking into whether there was a conflict of interest violations. It could take about 18 to 24 months.
Okay, it's not been an easy time for the supervisors. They recently got an earful from the governor's office when they were lobbying state officials to go easy on Orange County over a $73 million property tax dispute that Orange County lost in court last month. What gives?
The message read to them straight from the pages of Voice of OC was that if supervisors want Sacramento to help them out, they better not avoid cutting their own budgets, as we reported. Based on that, Supervisor Todd Spitzer told us that he'll be changing his vote on that issue and will vote at a special meeting coming up on Monday to slash $250,000 from the supervisor's office budgets.
Okay. Thanks so much, Noberto. For more on these stories and other political news throughout Orange County, go to voiceofoc.org.